You've driven right alongside a semi-truck, close enough to read the writing on the door, close enough to see the driver's arm resting on the window. And you probably assumed the obvious thing. He can see you too. Trucks have those huge mirrors after all. Of course, he knows you're there. Here's the thing. There's a very good chance he has absolutely no idea you exist. Around every big truck, there are 4 invisible zones where a car simply vanishes from the driver's view. They're called no zones, and they are so large that one of them can swallow 2 entire lanes of traffic at once. And the biggest, most dangerous one of all isn't where you'd ever guess. It's on the side you would least suspect. Understanding these 4 zones and one dead simple rule is genuinely one of the few things in a video like this that could actually save your life. So by the end of it, you'll know exactly where you disappear around a truck, why a truck has to swing left in order to turn right, and the one foolproof way to tell, right now, whether the trucker next to you can actually see you. So let's get into it. Where exactly do you vanish around a truck? Why can't the driver just look when they've got that whole wall of mirrors? Why is the right side so much worse than the left? Why is it deadly to sit directly in front of a truck or directly behind it? Why does a truck swing wide, the opposite way, right before it turns? And what is the one foolproof way to know whether the driver beside you can see you at all? Here's what everyone gets wrong. We assume a truck driver sitting up high behind a wall of mirrors must be able to see more than we can, and in a few ways they can. But in the ways that matter most, they can see far less. Think about your own car for a second. You can glance over your shoulder and check almost anywhere around you in a single second. A truck driver cannot. They're sealed inside a cab high off the ground, and directly behind them isn't a rear window. It's the front wall of a trailer that can be up to 75 feet long. They have no rear view mirror at all. Everything they know about the traffic around them comes from a handful of side mirrors, and those mirrors leave enormous gaps. So around every truck sit 4 blind zones, the no zones, where you don't just look small to the driver, you are completely, totally invisible, as if your car simply isn't there. And the real tragedy of it is that inside these zones, the driver isn't being careless at all. They physically cannot see you, no matter how hard they try. So, let's walk around the truck. The first one feels completely backwards. There is a huge blind spot directly in front of the truck, about 20 feet of it. The cab sits so high, with such a long, flat nose out ahead, that a small car or a person right in front of it drops clean below the driver's line of sight. This is exactly why cutting in front of a truck and then tapping your brakes is so deadly. For a moment, you are simply invisible, and even the instant the driver does see you, remember what we covered before. A fully loaded truck needs the length of 2 football fields to stop. Being invisible in front of a truck and being uncatchable in front of a truck are the same deadly problem. Directly behind the trailer is the second zone, a blind spot running at least 30 feet back, and it is dangerous for 2 separate reasons. First, with no rear-view mirror, the driver has no way of knowing you are even there. Second, sitting back there, you can't see anything ahead of the truck either, so you get no warning and no room to react if it suddenly slows. And there's a grim danger unique to big trucks here. The bottom of a trailer sits at just about the height of a car's windshield, which means in a rear collision, a car can slide underneath the trailer instead of bouncing off it, and that is every bit as catastrophic as it sounds. Tailgating a truck isn't like tailgating a car. The third zone is the left side, and it's the smaller of the 2 side blind spots, running from the driver's door back along about the first 3/4 of the trailer, roughly 1 lane wide. The driver sits on this side. So this is the area they can see best, which is exactly why every driving course tells you to always pass a truck on the left. And then there's the fourth zone, the monster, the single biggest and most dangerous blind spot on the entire truck runs down the right side. Because the driver is sitting all the way over on the left, the whole right side of the truck is far away from them and blocked by the length of the trailer. The right no zone fans out diagonally across 2 full lanes, stretching from the front of the cab all the way past the very back of the trailer. A car cruising along a truck's right side is almost completely invisible to the driver, which is why you should never ever try to pass a big truck on the right. And this is where the right side turns truly lethal. A truck is so long that in order to make a tight right turn, the driver often has to first swing wide to the left, just to give the trailer enough room to track around the corner without climbing the curb. But to a car sitting behind, it can look like the truck is drifting left, or even about to turn left. So drivers try to shoot up the right side to get around it, and they drive straight into the biggest blind spot on the truck, and straight into the path that long trailer is about to swing through. That deadly gap between the truck and the curb even has a name. It's called the squeeze zone, and getting trapped in it can kill you. Never try to pass a turning truck on its right. And here's just how much all of this matters. Studies have found that these blind zones are involved in roughly 1 out of every 3 crashes between cars and trucks, and about 1/3 of the deaths. Not because truckers are reckless, they actually receive far more training than the average driver, but because a car sitting in a no zone is invisible, and physics does the rest. Which is why there is one simple, foolproof rule that every driver should burn into their memory. Easily the single most useful thing in this entire video. If you can see the truck driver's face in their side mirror, then they can see you. If you cannot see their face in that mirror, then they cannot see you, and you are sitting in a no zone. That's the whole test. No guessing. Your ability to see the driver's eyes in the glass is a direct two-way signal of whether you even exist to them. And the government has been trying to teach exactly this since 1994, when federal safety officials launched the No Zone program to drill these 4 blind spots into every driver in the country. It's still running today, for one simple reason: the blind spots never went away. And once you know the no zones, you start seeing the whole road differently. Look at the cluster of mirrors on a truck's door. There's a big flat one, and usually a little round convex one below it that shows a wider, slightly warped view. Those exist purely to claw back as much of the blind zone as physically possible, and the fact that a truck needs 4 or 5 mirrors to do the job your 2 mirrors handle tells you exactly how bad these gaps really are. That sticker you've seen on the back of thousands of trailers, "If you can't see my mirrors, I can't see you," isn't a slogan. It's the literal survival rule you just learned, printed right where you'll read it. And that "this vehicle makes wide right turn" sign, along with the truck drifting left before it swings right. Now you know exactly what it's doing and why sneaking up its right side is a trap. And it all stacks right on top of what we've already covered on this channel. The reason cutting in front of a truck is a death trap isn't only the blind spot. It's that even once the driver sees you, that loaded truck physically cannot stop in time. The reason the trailer swings so wide through a turn is the same enormous length that hangs the whole thing on a single pivot pin. It is all the same machine. And it's most dangerous of all for the smallest vehicles on the road, motorcycles and bicycles, which vanish into a no zone even more completely than a car does. The truck isn't blind because its driver is careless. It's blind because it is shaped like a truck. And here's the uncomfortable part. No rule and no amount of the driver's skill ever fully closes these gaps because the blind spots are built into the shape of the vehicle itself. A trucker can check every single mirror perfectly and still have no way of seeing a car tucked into that right side no zone, which means the responsibility quietly shifts onto everyone else. In the vast majority of these crashes, the smaller vehicle drifted into a place the truck driver had no possible way of seeing, and no court accepts "I didn't realize they couldn't see me" as an excuse. Sharing the road with a truck is simply not a 50-50 arrangement, because you can see the truck perfectly, while the truck often cannot see you at all. The entire burden of staying out of the no zones falls on the one person who can actually see. And that is exactly why the newest trucks are finally trying to give the driver eyes where they never used to have any. For decades, the only fix was more mirrors and hoping other drivers knew the rules. That's now changing fast. New trucks carry radar and sensors that watch the blind zones directly and flash a warning the instant a car slips into the right side or the rear. Some have turn assist systems built specifically to watch the squeeze zone during a right turn, and they can even hit the brakes if someone gets caught in it. Camera systems are starting to replace the mirrors entirely, feeding the driver one stitched-together wide view with far smaller gaps, and 360-degree camera arrays can now show the whole truck as if seen from directly above. The blind spots that have been killing people for a century are slowly being handed a set of electronic eyes. But until every truck on the road has them, the oldest rule is still the one that saves your life. So the next time you find yourself driving right alongside a semi, certain that the driver can see you, remember that he might not. Around every big rig sit 4 zones where you simply vanish, the no zones, and the worst of them fans out across 2 full lanes on the right, the side you'd never suspect, and widens into an outright death trap every time that long trailer swings out to make a turn. So do one small thing. Glance at the truck's side mirror and look for the driver's face. If you can see their eyes, you're safe. They can see you too. If you can't see their face, then right now you are a ghost to that driver, and it's time to either speed up or fall back until you're seen. And on some of those trucks, you'll spot a set of colored, diamond-shaped signs stamped with strange numbers. They're a hidden code, telling emergency crews exactly what is sealed inside that trailer and precisely how badly it could hurt them. It's a language that is genuinely worth learning to read.